We heard constant, of course, a military briefing, you're getting the straight stuff from the commanders. It's kind of like the prophet talking to the whole church, you know. It's a direct line, it's secure line, and we're getting a briefing of the world situation, not just the current situation, but what's going on elsewhere. What other forces there, because we learned, for example, when the Russians called their forces on high alert, that was in response to us going to DEFCON 2. So we knew what was going on all around us. We knew when the subs were churning up, particularly in Kamchatka and other places, and because that affected us directly. We knew pretty much what was going on in the world, and we got it direct from, you know, SAC headquarters. So they kept us aware, and we also knew at the time there was a little trouble between Russia and China, so we thought China would be helpful to us rather than harmful. We didn't expect they would be shooting at us. In fact, they'd probably be encouraging, go, go. I don't know how that would have worked out, but you know, we were kind of banking on that because we would have had to crash land or bail out in China. Well, we were in central Russia where they have their version of our Kennedy Space Center. So my particular targets were 4 underground missile silos. So we were going to dig them out. And they needed, you know, really good navigators, and I considered myself to be pretty good at that. But it wasn't me that told them I'm a good guy. They kept a record of all my bombs and whatever, so it was like a golfer. Everybody knows how good he is before he ever goes out on the course. And he can have a bad day, as I did one time, but you can, you know, it's your average over time. And my circular of air was pretty good, so they knew I could do the job. And we actually volunteered for that particular assignment because it was deep into Russia, and the likelihood of getting back was skinny. But in wartime, you know, if a nuclear war is called and you're defending your country, I don't think we thought that much about our own lives, you know. Just glad to be of help, whatever was needed. In fact, we had a plan. Every crew has a plan because we had our target. We knew it in advance, and we'd sit around the table in a top secret environment in the alert facility. Just our crew. Other crews were not entitled to know where we were going, and we didn't want to know where they were going. Also, SAC bombers, unlike World War II, they were individually targeted, and they went their own way. And you met your own tanker on the way, and you know, everything was just you. You never traveled in squadrons or groups for a nuclear exchange. And it was all timed such that, you know, if you're late, you had to check a chart that would say what the Navy's doing and where they're going to be and so forth. And you had to design your own flight so that you fit in there and didn't blow somebody up that's a friendly. And so you didn't want to be off schedule. And everything was scheduled from A hour, from the time they launched it. That was A hour. And so one of the things they would ask whenever I was being briefed by the general is, Captain Davidson, what would you do if you lost an outboard engine? And the answer they wanted to hear is continue toward the target, sir. What if you lost 2 engines? Continue toward the target, sir. What if you lost all engines? What if your fuel ran out? Continue toward the target, sir. So, you know, crash into the sea on your way to the target if you have to. But don't turn around to come back because there's no place to come back to, basically. Wow. The place you just left has been nuked and you're gone. So we knew, in a way, this is a one-way trip. We got one shot at it. We got to do our task so that other people, because basically you're clearing the way for the next wave that's coming in that's got to do their job. We were on the tip of the sword, so to speak, that far, much closer to Russia. Whereas there would be bombers coming from America who would follow on and do additional damage, but you had cleared the way. So. No, we got refueled just before we entered China by tankers out of Manila. So, yeah, and that was our last tanker until, the end of our mission. And we didn't really have enough fuel to get back to a safe tanker. So we knew we were basically a one-way trip and would either be prisoners of war or be escaping and evading. We knew where the sub could pick us up and at what times they would be there. But that was 1,000 miles away to the nearest coastline. And we knew what coastline we had been assigned and where we were supposed to be headed. But it was in what we considered fairly friendly territory, so I thought that was probably doable. And we had been through escape and evasion training, so we knew how to live off the land, how to survive. It was, in the fall, so it could have been chilly. And you consider all that, too. We had our winter gear on board, so before we bailed out, we'd have jumped into we called it a winter flight suit, but it would be like a big, ski suit, basically. So, yeah.